everyone, welcome to DIY with Nancy. Today it's a special one. I'm going to be making some Pimentas Cortidas with my mom. I've been making these Pimentas Cortidas, which are pickled peppers, for about 15 years now. I love making them. It's very tasty pepper. The peppers that I'll be using today will be a medium pepper. And what that means is there's three types of peppers. You can use the sweet peppers, the hot peppers, or the medium, which is not too sweet and not too hot. So they're right in the middle. And I'm gonna have my mother join me and help me make these Pimentas Cortidas. And I'm so happy I'm gonna share this recipe with you. So stay with me and watch how to make Pimentas Cortidas, pickled peppers, step by step. Now here are the ingredients I'll be using to make Pimenta Cortida pickled peppers. And I have medium red peppers. That means it's not too hot, not too sweet. You also need white vinegar, some table salt, some sugar, some garlic cloves. Keep yourself handy with a teaspoon for measurement. And here I have 1 liter jars to place the peppers in. And another ingredient you'll need is water. And I'll show you the quantity of the ingredients as I go along with the recipe. And you can also refer to the description box down below for the quantity of the ingredients. First, you need to wash the peppers. You want to make sure they're thoroughly clean, there's no sand in them. My mother is helping here in making sure that step is done. And we're using a water hose, but you can simply wash them in the sink as well. Now that we wash the peppers, we want to make sure they are clean and there's no dirt on them. So what we're doing is going through each individual one to make sure they're nice and clean and transferring them to a larger bowl or panna. Now for the next step, I want to get started with placing the water and vinegar in a large pot so it can start coming to a boil while we're preparing the peppers. I have here 4 liters of white vinegar, which I'm going to place into the pot. I'm going to pour it in. Now for the ratio of white vinegar and water that I'll be using for this recipe, for each 1 liter of white vinegar that I place in the pot, I'll be placing 1.5 liters of water. So for every 1 liter of vinegar, 1.5 of water. I'll be using 6 liters of vinegar and 9 liters of water. Now for the measurement of the water ratio and the vinegar, the original jug is 4 liters of vinegar. Once I empty out the 4 liters of vinegar, then I'll use the jug as the measurement for the water. All right, my pot has 9 liters of water, 6 liters of white vinegar. I'm going to walk it over to my portable stove and get the heat going. Wait until the water comes to a boil while we prepare the peppers. Now on to the next step. While I wait for the water to come to a boil, we're going to be preparing the peppers. We're going to start off by removing the top stem of the pepper, and then with a paring knife, we're just cutting it along the middle, so you're going to have 2 halves. And then once you have it in half, you're going to remove the inside membrane and the seeds, and you're going to continue doing that for all the peppers, just like that. São as pessoas que querem saber como é que se faz isso em português, as pimentas curtidas. O que é a primeira coisa que a gente tem que fazer quando a gente comprar as pimentas? E o que é o tipo das pimentas que a gente compramos aqui?
O medium, para não ser muito picante. Pego nelas, lavo as pimentas, depois racho a meio, tiro a ponta, aquela coisa verde. E depois a gente bota a água a ferver e o vinagre. Depois enche os garrafos, depois está cheio. A gente bota as pimentas e bota uma colher de açúcar de chá. e uma colher de sal de chá e boto uma dente de óleo, para quem gosta. Quem não gosta, não bota óleo. Enche os garrafos cheios de água e depois está cheio, aperta-se bem apertado e vira-se o garrafo de pernas para o ar.
So, a gente está usando vinagre branco, mas muitas pessoas gostam de usar vinagre vermelho. Não faz diferença nenhuma?
Para quem gosta, é no que quiser.
Ok. So, a gente pode usar branco ou vermelho. Ok. E só depois da gente tarrachar os garrafos?
Vira-se para baixo e leva 3, 4 dias, a gente torna a virar e então a cabo de dia já pode comer.
E a gente, minha mãe usa isso mais, as pimentas cortidas para quê?
Serve para botar com bacalhau no forno, para acompanhar com peixe, onde a gente come, e com carne, muita gente come.
Agora a gente cortamos as pimentas, a gente está acabado de esperar para a água ferver e agora a gente vai começar a pôr as pimentas dentro dos garrafos. Ok.
Now on to the next step. The peppers are cut, the seeds are removed, and we're ready to place the peppers in the jars. Now I've just finished filling up this jar with the peppers. Take a look inside. It's completely full. There's no more room. Now I'm going to set this jar aside. I'm going to take another one and continue filling the peppers in the jars, and I'll show you the next step. For the next step, I have 21 jars of 1 liter filled with peppers and 1 2-liter jar. Now it's a matter of preference, but I'm going to place about 1 to 2 garlic cloves in each jar. Now for the next ingredient, we're going to place 1 teaspoon, just like this, just a teaspoon, full of sugar, and we're going to place it in each 1 liter jar. For the next ingredient, we are going to place 1 teaspoonful of table salt in each of the jars. Now we're ready to move on to the next step. Once you have the garlic, sugar, and salt in the jars, we're ready to place the boiled water and vinegar. The vinegar and water have come to a boil, and we're ready to pour it into the jars. Now for the next step, we're going to pour the water and vinegar that's been boiling in each jar. And for easy pouring, we're simply using a measuring cup to pour the water and vinegar in the jar. And we're filling it up right to the rim, and it's going to be filled up right to the top, just like this. And now we're ready to move on to the next one. And we're going to continue filling the jars with the water and vinegar, and I'll show you the next step. Now we're ready to seal the jars. And all we're going to do is place the lid on the jar and seal it very tightly. And once I've sealed the jar, and I just want to make sure it's nice and tight, you need some muscle for this. Now eventually we're going to place the jar facing down, but before you do, you want to give it a little shake, make sure the sugar and salt are mixed in the jar. And then I'm going to place it with the lid facing down and move on to the next one, and I'm going to continue placing the lids in all the jars and sealing them tightly. For the final step, I have all the jars sealed, turned over. I'm going to leave them here for about 2-3 days. After 2-3 days, I'm going to come back, turn them back over face up, leave them for another week, and they'll be ready to eat. It's been about 3 days. I've turned the jars back up, face up, and they're just going to sit here in a room temperature. They're in my garage. It's going to sit here for about another week or so, and then they'll be ready to open and eat. They have a perfect crunch to it. It's a very tangy taste to the pepper, and they're so delicious. And as you can see, extremely easy to make.
Okay everyone, my pimentas cortidas are ready to eat. It's been about 9 days since I've made the pimentas, and what I did initially is once I sealed the jar, I had the sugar, the salt, and the vinegar and water in the jar. I sealed it tightly, and then what I did is just turned it, shook it up a little bit. Want to make sure the sugar and salt are not at the bottom of the jar, and then I turned it upside down and left it like that for a couple of days. And then on the third day, I just took the jar and put them back up and let them stay in a room temperature area or room for another week or so. So altogether, it was 9 days. We actually had them yesterday. They're very delicious. As you can see, it's very easy to make. My mom, growing up, she used to make these and then put them on bacalhau no forno, or she used to make it with bifanas. Cut them up a little bit and place them in the cebolada with the molho. You can also have it with steak. You can have it with fish. Really, you can make these with anything. And you know what? I have 22 jars, 22 1-liter jars. I'll be giving some to my brother, my sister, my mother-in-law, some friends. And you know what? I'll probably end up with maybe half, and it will last me for the year. And I hope you all enjoyed the recipe for pimenta cortida, pickled peppers. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Take care.